Well, he's been police minister, deputy police minister and sports minister. Now he's returned to cabinet in another high-profile position, that of the Minister of Transport. Fikile Mbalula, some might call him a political jack of all trades. I don't know if you'll dispute that. He was also head of the elections for the ANC during the recent polls. And one of the main problems he has to deal with in his new job, apart from our unacceptably high road accident rate, is the violence directed at truck drivers, particularly on the N3 in KwaZulu-Natal. I'm pleased to tell you the Transport Minister has agreed to speak to us, and he's here now. Mr. Mbalula, good morning to you and congratulations on your return to Cabinet.
Thank you, Stephen Grootes and full view people.
Firstly, the situation regarding the N3 in KwaZulu-Natal. We've seen trucks being set alight there. We've seen, it's an incredibly dangerous situation. What are you able to tell us about what's being done to fix that?
Well, we've adopted a multidisciplinary approach led by the Minister of Police. And we're looking forward to a roadmap, which already part of it have been implemented. Of course, there will be challenges about what comes out as a state of lawlessness and anarchy, where trucks have been burned down, which amount to economic sabotage. Law enforcement agencies are on board in relation to that. Labor, ourselves, transport, and Home Affairs, we are on board to address whatever dispute that arise as a result of the dissatisfaction of the truck drivers and so on.
I mean, in a way, this is really a policing issue. If someone sets a truck alight, I mean, if it were me, I would expect to be arrested and convicted. And that seems to not be happening in this case.
No, it's not a policing matter. It is a labor issue. And the funniest part is that those who have elevated this matter to make it a policing issue is because the carnage spreads to the roads. Criminal element comes in. They loot the trucks. And then if it is a labor issue, then it belongs to the shop floor. They've got to protest at the shop floor, which is not happening. And it is now escalating elsewhere. So it becomes multifaceted and dimensional in a sense that it has got criminal element. Yes, our interest as government is to help the workers and the operators arrive at a solution using the laws of South Africa, labor issues, in relation to 60-40 quota for South Africans to get higher numbers and eliminate all illegal people in the system who are basically there, and to eliminate this notion that truck driving and drivers is a rare skill in South Africa, which I think there's oversupply of that. So with operators and labor in terms of the truck drivers, ourselves, we're in the round table. In the next 2 weeks, we'll produce a roadmap to eliminate all the defects in the system that undermine stability.
Are there too many foreign nationals in the sector? Is that what's leading to this in your view?
Well, among others, that has been the main protest, not according to me, by those who are protesting, who are the truck drivers. And then they've raised those issues sharply with us in the round table. And they will be attending to those issues. That's why we've got labor. But also in terms of operators, those operators are given permit to operate by us. So if there are illegalities around it, we need to step up our game and withdraw the permits and put those who are illegal off our roads.
Right, Minister, I realise in a way you're sort of new to this portfolio, that you know your way around South Africa better than most people, and many millions of people in this country spent up to 40% of their salaries, of their incomes, just on getting to and from work every day. And what this country really needs is some sort of mass transit, public transit system that people can use, that's cheap, that's safe for everyone to use no matter what time of day. It's a huge job. I mean, it's a massive thing to do. Any ideas on where we're going to start?
First, we need to fix our rail system in terms of mass transport. That goes with taxis, and we need to invest in that because of affordability. We need to bring safety on board for those who use the rail transport to commute from work to home and so on. So that is the massive task. Like you say, it's a priority, it's key to us in terms of fixing that, working with our entities. Already there are phases that have been dealt with to look at the organizational state of PRASA. But that is the first phase in terms of addressing the issues I'm talking about, safety, The second one is to ensure that how do we make this sustainable and use this term, turnaround execution plan, not turnaround strategy, execution, followed concrete action. You shouldn't have people saying, I can't go to work because trains have got a problem of a signal. I mean, where are we? So we've got to address those issues with our entities and ensure that we support the effective implementation of the turnaround execution plan.
One of the first things we need to do, perhaps, I mean, you're the minister, you tell me, it might be to protect the infrastructure we already have. And if you look at what's happening in the Western Cape with a number of trains that are just suddenly being set alight, I mean, there's clearly a campaign of arson on the trains in the Western Cape. No one knows who's behind this. Do we need more police? Do we need more protection, more police resources to stop this from happening in the Western Cape?
We've got to negotiate our way around that, but my vision is to have a war room around the state of the trains and eliminate all the, like I say, the defects. Of course, what leads to the banning of trains, we need to understand. Impatient people who are jobless because of trains not being on time. I was on a train with the president from 4 a.m. We arrived in town, leave alone the fact that we got delayed because of whatever challenges that we're faced with. But this is the daily situation. You go, you are dismissed from work because a train got delayed. We've got to do our job. Unfortunately, those who are dealing with ESCOM and fixing and keeping South Africa lights on are doing their job. My job is to ensure that rail system function for the poor and we're able to deliver and we address all the challenges that we're faced with. And that's what we've got to do, because we can't pay lip service to that. And the fact that trains get delayed, our people get dismissed from work, there is no safety in the trains, we've got to address that. And that I'm going to do working hand in hand with our entities.
I mean, there were, I think, 1,000 train collisions in the 2018 financial year. That was the report.
1,027.
Yeah, that was the report that came out last week.
Yes.
It shows you how dangerous. I mean, the main problem with that is probably signalling. I mean, there's some stations that's some areas in Gauteng that haven't had proper signalling for a month. I mean, literally, we've got train drivers who talking to each other on cell phones about whether they should go or stop. It's a huge amount of money that we need to spend on this, just the train infrastructure alone. Do we actually have the money as a country to do it?
We have over 27 billion rand that has been invested, and part of that money has gone back to Treasury because of lack of governance, proper governance, and money not well spent, roll over year in and year out, and the money not been spent properly. And yet we've got huge backlog and challenges in this rail system, which we need to address. Like I'm telling you, Stephen, war room is the best way to go. And then to bring everybody on board, if it has to be me at the center of it, with those who are supposed to execute the turnaround execution plan and evaluate that and hold people accountable, we'll do that. That's the way to go, because we can't be hammering one and the same thing, which we've got the power to change.
Okay, so that's the trains. Let's talk about the minibus taxi industry now. I mean, a huge industry, the vital cog for getting people to and from work, probably transports more people to work than anything else. You're likely to have negotiations with that industry to be, you know, it leads to certain problems from time to time. The provinces play a big role in regulating the taxi ranks. Are you going to start having conversations with the taxi industry to see if they can improve their service?
Yeah, we met with Santaco and we'll be meeting with everybody. It is important for us to meet with Santaco because Santaco is the biggest player and the biggest partner with government right from the inception when we're looking at the integration and supporting programs of recapitalization. We're still there supporting the taxi industry, and already that program is being resuscitated and implemented. We will negotiate the things that should not happen in the taxi industry and find each other, territorial battles and all of that. We need to address all of those particular issues. So we cannot do that on our own. We have to do it with the industry itself and how we go in to support the industry to grow and become meaningful in the scheme of economic development in the Republic, because the taxi industry is the biggest generator of addressing unemployment in South Africa. We've got about over 300,000 and so taxis on the road on a daily basis. So we've got to address those issues, and we're determined. We met with Santaco already, and then we'll be interacting now in a more meaningful discussion. And as we do that, we'll keep you informed and address the immediate challenges that are facing us, the immediate and the long term.
Okay, that was the easy part of the interview. Let's talk the controversy now. E-tolls in Gauteng, are they going to stay or are they going to go?
The e-tolls, our mandate is to follow on the footsteps of the predecessor and to engage with a view of finding a solution for all involved. So I can assure you that in no time, that matter will be addressed and will take everybody on board in terms of the solutions that we arrive at. Of course, it will be all the stakeholders involved, the unions, and everyone involved in terms of the e-toll saga.
By solution, you mean they're going to go?
The solution will either be they're going to go, and if they go, how are we going to address the issues we are faced with in terms of the debt and so on. So it's a comprehensive solution that will come up with that seek to take everyone on board. But the strategic goal is to ensure that South Africans are part of the solution in the long term of the e-tolls.
It's a difficult problem, that.
It is a difficult problem. It's not an easy one. So we all know that because it is a matter that requires us, as we find a solution, how do we close somewhere? So it's not an easy issue that you say, no, scrap, and that is it. But the fact of the matter is that people are not paying. And then the debt is ever growing. How do we arrive at the solution?
I noticed that you changed your Twitter handle when you were appointed. You were fear, I can't use the word on
Fear
TV.
fucker.
Don't get me into trouble, okay? You now call yourself RSA Transport Minister.
Yes.
A bit boring for you.
Yeah.
Are you now scared of something?
No, I'm not scared of anything. I mean, these names come with the territory of what we do and so on. I was not fear anything. Before, when I went to the police, it came with that territory. I was razzmatazz when I was at sports. And so now I'm in transport. So I'm here to work with all the stakeholders, build a strong social compact to find a solution and move South Africa forward. I've got no time to waste time, in a way, because this place, there's got to be a revolution going on here. Transformation must be accelerated in other industries, maritime, and aviation. So the roads must be fixed. And then the means of mass transport must be accessible to our people. So I can't spend 6 months here without any change. So I'm accelerating that change. Next time I talk to you will be to talk to you about my priorities and what we're going to do to accelerate change within transport. I've got no time to waste time. So the other name that will come with the deeds in terms of execution plan.
I'm afraid some might still call you razzmatazz for some time. Minister, you made some comments about, just after the election, I remember speaking to you at the Results Operations Centre in the hours after the election about the ANC Secretary-General, Ace Magashule. He claimed that President Ramaphosa wasn't that important to the final outcome. You publicly disagreed with him. There are reports today that the ANC's National Executive Committee and the National Working Committee have said that there will be an investigation into whether Mr. Magashule helped the formation of the African Transformation Movement, and that former President Kgalema Motlanthe will be involved in that investigation. Are you able to confirm that?
Well, I don't think any commission or investigation is about the Secretary General. It's about looking at the issue in terms of all allegations, because anyone can make allegations. But I've realized that it is reduced to him because a newspaper reported that his name and all of that. But the processes the ANC embark upon, ANC will speak for itself, but nonetheless, from what we've got, is that those investigations will be much broader to look at the implication for anyone who might be involved in such activities. Because at the end of the day, it becomes rumor mongering. And then it becomes a stain in your name that you formed an organization. So there need to be processes that clear people and be allowed for a due process to explain themselves. So it is an honorable thing, and a very open process that the National Executive Committee have directed the Working Committee to implement. And it's not about the SG. And if there are such accusations, he is there to prove to all that there is no such involvement in the formation of political parties to undermine the ANC majority. The ANC have got to step up and deal with the matter, and not just deal with it by pushing it to the periphery, because it's a serious allegation.
Okay, so there is actually some investigation, just not only into him.
Well, the investigation that I know of that were pronounced post the NEC and adopted by the National Executive Committee and addressed by the National Executive are looking at those allegations that involve members of the ANC in the formation of political parties to undermine the ANC, because the ANC cannot be undermined from within. It cannot. So the ANC have got to step up and deal with such allegations, because we accept the fact that we will be opposed. There will be others who will counter us, but it cannot be from within, and you put a blind eye to that.
You've made certain comments about the Secretary-General in the past. There's a tweet of yours that's quoted from time to time. Are you glad that this investigation is happening?
Look, I am a law-abiding member of the ANC in terms of its constitution. We have been called to order not to talk past each other. And so I abide by that, because this talking past each other does not help the ANC. It makes us look like loose cannons. It makes our party look like there is no control and discipline. So I'm not going to be party to that going forward. And I've settled my issues with the SG in relation to the comments at the Operation Center, both in terms of the post-mortem of the election and where I came from. And that matter is closed. We found each other, and he understood where I came from. It was not a glorification of the ANC president that he was alone in the campaign, was to say what is a factor that propelled the ANC to win the trust of the people back. And Ramaphosa and Ramaphosa was a big factor in relation to that. And it ends there. So we're moving forward. We've got our 10 million. Our people demand of us to succeed and to serve them. So we're going forward.
Minister, thank you very much indeed for coming in, and I appreciate your candor tonight. The Minister of Transport, Fikile Mbalula.